नमस्कार। MA Philosophy, Unit number 3, Block number 1, MPY001 Indian Philosophy. Introduction to Tirukkural. Objective Objectives. As objective scholars on Indian philosophy would vouch for a fact that Indian culture is not built upon only one tradition, neither monopoly of one religious tradition within India nor of one linguistic tradition would be acceptable in the plurality of Indian traditions. Sources of Indian philosophy are spread about many religious, philosophical, and moral treatises, both written and oral in various ancient languages like Pali, Prakrit, Sanskrit, and Tamil. Apart from the stereotype treatment on dwelling only on Sanskrit tradition for Indian philosophical thoughts, this unit emphatically proclaimed the deep philosophical insights embedded in classical Tamil text called Tirukkural. The objective of this unit is to bring out the moral, social, and political philosophy of Tirukkural. The unit would mostly avoid the introductory detail about the text and concentrate fully on its philosophical insights for want of space. Such a brief introduction on Tirukkural could be found in the unit and ancient Dalit thinkers in one of the elective courses of IGNOU MA Philosophy under the title Dalit Philosophy. The numbers given within bracket in the sentence of this unit refers to the number of couplet of Tirukkural. Introduction. Tirukkural etymologically means the holy couplet, a text having two lines with 7 words each in the Tamil poets Venva meter. It has 1330 couplets with 133 chapters each containing 10 couplets. Tiruvallur, Tiruvallur, Tiruvalluvar did not write autobiography nor any authentic biographies are available. There is no perfect life sketch of Tiruvallur. A few information about his life are passed on orally. He lived at Mylapore, Chennai, engaged in weaving as his profession, married to a maid known as Vasuki. Certain events that are purported to have taken place in his life seem to be unbelievable. Tirukkural is a moral compendium which has been classified under three major headings: Aram, righteousness; Porul, wealth; Ivam, enjoyment. The ideological implications of these titles is that one must earn wealth through righteous means, and enjoyment becomes imminent through that which lead to enlightenment. This view is similar to the Sanskrit tradition of dharma, arth, kam, and moksha. Philosophical insights of Tirukkural. Tiruvallur's, Tiruvallur's philosophy is that of common man, and hence he developed his ideals in such a manner that men ought to live as the true human being and cherish all the human values, promote earthly virtues, establish social harmony, engage in domestic life, follow political ideologies, develop mutual assistance, adhere to the life of renunciation, enjoy all kind of pleasures, contemplate deeply on a few metaphysical issues, etc. In the invocatory chapter known as the Praise of God, Tiruvallur glorifies the significant feature of God. He is the ancient Lord and the Supreme Being, Lord with perfect intelligence, flower-decked God, He who has transcended likes and dislikes, Iravan, the protector of the universe, unparalleled Lord, the embodiment of righteousness, Lord endowed with 8 attributes, he who has annihilated the onslaught of the senses, the great controller of the living beings. Nowhere does the author mention the Lord with his specific name, probably to teach mankind about the relationship between God, human beings, and the world. Had he mentioned the name of God, then people would think that the moral philosophy of Tiruvalluvar is based on the preachings of that particular religion whose god's name has been mentioned. Since Tiruvalluvar wanted to establish a society where people belonging to our religious sect should lead a peaceful and harmonious life, he had explicated the need of monotheistic divinity. Still, scholars taking into consideration few religious expressions found in the couplets proclaim that such expressions unevo- unequivocally indicate their god, and therefore Tiruvallur belongs to their religious cult and his moral thought are pertaining to their religion. If Tiruvallur is confined to a particular religion, then the universalistic outlook of his moral ideologies would be misnomer. In the chapter on the dread of beggary, he explains if the Supreme Lord who has created this world has destined that man should continue to live through begging, then let that Lord wander about the world and perish. In this verse, Tiruvallur links the life of penury and poverty leading to the act of begging and the person who is responsible for this degradation and curses him to go away from this world. Thus Tiruvallur wants to behold that mankind should have a self-contained life. Tiruvallur has mentioned that mentioned the fact that the universe has been created by God. Tiruvallur deliberately did not write anything about moksha or liberation. Probably he might have thought that life on this earth is to be lived perfectly and honestly, then contemplated upon life beyond death. According to the commentators, since moksha is concerned with the blissful state of experience, it cannot be explained in adequate terms. As such, there are no authentic reports about the state of liberation, but many theoretical accounts are available through revelations of the mystic saints. Hence, Tiruvallur might have thought that anyone who is virtuous in his domestic, social, political, and moral spheres, he will certainly experience abundant joy in every aspect of life. Vidu Piru, the karma or ibam pleasure described by Tiruvallur in the third section is to be understood in terms of leading to the everlasting and increasing bliss. At the worldly level, we have physical pleasure and mental happiness, but at the spiritual plane, which is mystic in nature and essence, the rapture is to be experienced rather than explained. Hence, Tiruvallur wants every human being to concentrate on the life on earth, then contemplated on a heavenly life. Another interesting feature on this famous text is that its author has not used anywhere the terms such as Tamil language, the Tamilian, Tamil country, though all the 1330 couplets are in just Tamil language. These are totally 9310 Tamil words used in this work. In the first couplet itself, Tiruvallur resorts to his intention of spreading his message for mankind. The world of sound commences with a letter A. Similarly, all that exists in the world commences from the prime mover. In several places, the author uses the expressions like ulaku, ulakam, vayam, jalam, etc. to refers to the world. His love for mankind and fascination to find out man as living as a genuine human without social discrimination, linguistic fa- fanaticism, racial inequalities, political turmoils, religious fundamentalism, moral disturbances, mental imbalances, regional dissimilarities, national prejudices, economic upheaval, geographical divisions are found in every couplet. He delves deeply on almost all the aspects of human life. At several places, he indicates that man should not live through the senses, which is nothing but the life of Brutus beast. He expects man to use his sixth sense, his mind, to sort out all human issues and lead to life of spirituality, which will bring bring forth a life of tranquility and solace to all human beings. In preface to his translation of Tirukkural's BBS Iyer states, Tiruvalluvar has given to the world a work to which imperfection of form, profoundly of thought, nobleness of sentiment, and earnestness of moral purpose. The last section of this grand work deals exclusively with the various aspects of domestic life, especially the inner part of it known as conjugal love. He divides his action into two divisions. First speaks about premarital love, and the second about married life. This shows that the ancient Tamils have developed grammar not only for the external life of human beings but also for the internal living. Moral philosophy of Tiruvallur. Very cleverly, Tiruvallur refers to virtue in two different but similar terms, mm, Aram and Aran. Aram and Aran. The title of the chapter is emphasis on Aran, which means the glorification of righteousness. The subtle difference between these two terms is that Aram means the definition of virtue. For instance, avoidance of jealousy, greediness, wrath, and abusive language is the best way to acquire Aram. As contrast, he reiterates that domestic life is exclusively that is practiced as aran, aran, life not blamed by others but earning good name. When abundant love and aran prevail at home, they are the equality and benefit of family life, promoting purity of heart without any blemish whatsoever is the best way of living. The other so-called aran are nothing but empty display. However, both these terms with aram and aran indicate virtue. The former is used to refer the definition of righteousness, while the former its fulfillment or utility. However, one can notice the difficulty of the author is not giving a positive meaning or definition of righteousness. The absence of certain ignorable traits such as anger, jealousy, etc. is to be understood as aram. In the life of a man, his individual life, socio-political life, romantic life are playing the vital life. The first section is pertaining to individual ethics with the subdivisions such as domestic virtue, as ascetic virtue and faith. The second section is concerned with political ethics with us the true meaning moral of life. It has the headings of royalty, ministers of state, and appendix. The third section pertains to conjugal love with the premarital love and wedded love as the divisions. The first section ends with the chapter on fate. Man has to live in accordance to his destiny. Although a man may study the most polished treatises, the knowledge which fate has decreed to him will still prevail. There are two fate two different nature in the world, hence the difference observable in men in their acquisition of wealth, in their attainment of knowledge. There seems to be a contradiction in the conception of fate. Why Tiruvalluvar? In this chapter, he holds that what is stronger than fate? If we think of an expedient to avert it, it will itself be with us before the thought. However, in the chapter on manly effort, he maintains that they will labor on without fear and without fainting, will see even fate out behind their back. In the first one, the author gives a generic truth that faith is more powerful and difficult to overcome. In the other couplets, he gives a specific truth that if one strive with undismayed and unfaltering mind, that person will curtail the impact of life of fate. Hence, one should not keep inactive, leaving everything to destiny. The second section ends with the chapter on baseness, Kaya Mai. The contents of this chapter reveal the truth that even during the time of Tiruvallur, the society has been degraded in any social setting if there the white people with malevolent attitude and highly despicable character predominate, that naturally that society would lose respect. Tiruvallur uses highly contemptuous language to describe the attitude of the degenerates. It would be very difficult to distinguish between the men of ways and honest people, since the ways resemble the celestials, for they act as they like. The principle of behavior in the mean is chiefly fear, if not hope of gain to some extent. The great bestow their alms as soon as they are informed, but the means, like the sugarcane, only when they are tortured to death. The base bill hasten to sell themselves as soon as a calamity has befallen them. For what else are they gifted? Thus, it is clear that the individuals have to promote all noble traits so that the socio-political organizations would be free from the highly despicable men. Though, though Tiruvallur's primary concern is to make mankind perfect and virtuous through various means, he seems to a lover of nature. In the chapter of the excellence of rain, he glorifies the importance of rain, water, sky, celestial food, plowing, call-outs, annual festivals, daily worship, penance, alms-giving, duties of life, which are basically related to water. The matter of water management formulated by Tiruvallur shows his human concern. By the continuance of rain, the world is preserved in existence. It is therefore worthy to be called ambrosia. Further, if it be said that the duties of life cannot be discharged by anyone without water, so also without rain no flowing water is possible. One such famous chapter in the Tirukkural is the greatness of the ascetics, wherein the author asserts the ultimate goal of life through ethical discipline mingled with renunciation. All treatises in the world uniformly emphasize the greatness of those who abide by the code of conduct unique to their state of existence, who have relinquished all desires. It is not possible to describe the measure of those who have renounced. If done so, it would be like counting the dead. Those who have realized the importance of the twofold nature of existence will excel others. He who controls his he who controls his five senses by the look of wisdom will be a seed in the world of heaven. In Indiran, the Lord of the Celestial, is the best example for strengthening his will by way of controlling the five senses. Only the men of wisdom can achieve greatness, while the men of mindedness can seldom achieve. He who He who knows the qualities of taste, sight, touch, audition, and smell alone can avoid by the intricacies of the world. The greatness of the men of efficient knowledge through hidden language can be revealed by their inspirations, in, by their inspiriting utterances. It would be impossible to resist the breath event for a moment to those who have scaled the mountain of goodness. The Andhanas are none other than the men of virtue, since they show kindness to all living species. The moral philosophy of Tiruvallur is found in all the sections, such as domestic virtues, ascetic virtues, fate, royal virtues, appendix, etc. The individual virtues are essentially ethical, are associated with social and political morality, since both these institutions are meant for promoting the welfare of the individuals. Life starts with love, as the necessitational feature of all aspect of life is love. Since love is related to virtue, Tiruvalluvar maintains that virtue will burn up the human person which is devoid of love, even as the sun burns up the creature which is without bones. Most of the problems emerge due to the use of abusive language. Tiruvalluvar insists that one should always utter pleasant words and should refrain from using filthy language. He also Tiruvalluvar combines the notion of virtue. The sins of the man will vanish, and the virtues in creates provide the cultivates the habit of speaking sweet words. We should we should also not forget the favor received from someone, since gratitude is related to the knowledge of benefits conferred. He who has annihilated every virtue may yet survive, that there is no redemption for him who has killed a benefit. Impartiality is a moral virtue which expects all human beings to treat others like themselves, which is especially applicable to the merchants. The ornaments of the wise is not to deviate from impartiality and maintain balance like the ever fixed scale. One must possess the self restrictions to lead a peaceful life. Like the tortoise, one must control the five senses. The role of a man with self restriction is greater than mountain. All problems emerge due to the non-control of tongue, and hence one must guard his tongue. Discipline and decorum are very essential for a human being, since they are treated greater than life. Propriety of conduct is is the seed of virtue. Impropriety will ever cause sorrow. Not coveting not coveting another's wife, the possession of patience or forbearance, non-envying, covering the backbiting, and not speaking of profitless words, the dread of evil deeds, the knowing of what is suitable for a man's status, offering fame are some of the virtues associated with family life. In the ascetic virtues, we have the following chapters: the possession of benevolence, the relinquishing of meat, penance, inconsistent conduct, the absence of fraud, veracity, the not being angry, non-indulgence of evil, non-killing, instability, renunciation, knowledge of the true, the extirpation of desire and fate. Among the above topics, that the term Vayamti is significant in the sense that is equated with truth commonly, but Tiruvallur gives a unique definition of Vayamati. Thus, veracity is nothing but non-utterance of words causing evil to others. Purity of the external body is caused by water, and inner purity is caused by veracity. Now it is clear that unless a person develops inner purity, he cannot be resist the uses of abusive words. Only a man of internal purification will speak in a perfect manner without offending anybody. Even falsehood has the nature of veracity if it brings forth faultless benefit. He who promotes the deceitfulness conduct in his conducting in his mind certainly dwell in the minds of all. In this context, Tiruvallur points out the avoidance of falsehood, the the fault the faultless lamp of wisdom caused by veracity is the true lamp of the world. To those who eat meat, Tiruvallur first asks people not to eat meat so that the butchers will not kill animals for the sake of eating meat. Social philosophy of Tiruvallur. As it is generally known, social ideologies cannot exist and survive without being followed and patronized by individuals. Tiruvallur's message for the social well-being of people is found in several couplets. In the chapter on cherishing guests, it is not proper to keep the guest outside his residence, even though he were eating the food of immorality. He who having and entertained the guests who have visited him looks out for other guests to visit, he certainly be a welcome guest to the celestial beings. In the section on wealth in association with political thought Tiruvallur speak of social virtues, the process of getting education, non-learning, listening to others, the possession of knowledge, the correction of faults, seeking the guidance of great people, avoidance of minded people, acting as realization, knowing the power, knowing the place, knowing the time, clarification with enlightenment, engagement after realization, cherishing one's kindred, unforgetfulness, unsluggishness, personality, endeavors, withstanding in trouble, method of acquiring wealth, friendship, investigation in making friendship, familiarity, evil friendship, unwantedness, friendship, folly, ignorance, hostility, the might of hatred, knowing the efficiency of enmity, internal enmity, non-offending the great, being led by women, wanton women, non-drinking of toddy, gambling, medicine, nobility, honor, greatness, perfectness, noble qualities, wealth without manifestation, shamefulness, the way of maintaining the family, agriculture, poverty, mendicancy, the dread of mendicancy and baseness, the literal meaning of the word poor, ill wealth, but is also indicate the meaning of life. Tiruvallur expects that human being must live with fellow men amicably and peacefully. The first and foremost requirement for executing this ideal is education, which is the manifestation of perfection already in men. Everyone should learn the subject matter without any blemish and learn selectively. But ultimately, his conduct should be worthy of his learning. Water will emerge from the sand well in proportion to the depth of which is dug. Likewise, knowledge will flow from a man in proportion to his learning. According to the Revolver, illiteracy leads to ignorance, and it is a sin. As beasts by the side of men, so are other men by the side of those who are learned in celebrated works. As the method of learning and acquiring knowledge, Tiruvallur emphasizes the process of listening. In his opinion, the wealth of wealth is that which is heard by the ear. The health is the major wealth. He condemns the people who test the food seriously, then testing the masses heard through the ear. The culmination of education, listening, etc., is nothing but the possession of knowledge leading to wisdom. The frequent quoted verse declares thus to discover the truth uttered by any person, listened to by any person. In real wisdom, most of fear what ought to be feared is folly. It is the work of the wise to fear what should be feared. The noble gesture of the man of wisdom is to correct the faults of fellow men as well as in themselves. Those who fear guilt if they commit a faulty small as a millet seed will consider it to be as large as a pal- palmyra tree. In a society, none can decide anything individually. Seeking the aid of great men is essentially required for guidance and decision making. This quality is to be preferred by the rulers, so to act as to make those men his own who are greater than himself is of all powers the highest. To achieve this welcome virtue, one must avoid the company of the mean-minded fellows. This is no greater help than the company of the good. There is no greater source of sorrow than the company of the wicked. No action should be performed in haste bus after due consideration of the pros and cons of that action. Tiruvallur insists that before engaging in an action, one should contemplate seriously and then proceed. After having undertaken it, to say we will consider it is a stupid way of talking. One must realize his power and ability before executing an action. Even if the peacock feathers are loaded excessively, the axle of that vehicle will break. Equally, one must realize the appropriate time while performing an act. If a person act in the right time and the right place, he can conquer the world and accomplish it. Similarly, in the case in knowing the right place for action, Tiruvallur substantiates this wise. White chariots with mighty wheels will not turn on the ocean. Neither will the ship that traverse the ocean move on the earth. One must know and realize the condition of life which uh, which is based on righteousness, wealth, pleasure, and fear of life, death. For trusting the fellow without examination and outing a fellow after choosing for the assignment, both will create irremediable sorrow. Similarly, one should realize and employ right person for right action. After having considered this man can accomplish this by these means, let the master leave within and leave within the discharge of their duty. That there is a famous proverb in Tamil: "Living with kith and kin will fetch crores of benefits." Tiruvallur, in a decade, extols the greatness of cherishing one's kindred. Even when a man's property is lost, his relative will move with him with their accustomed kindness. Though people consider forgetting as a boon, Tiruvallur, on the contrary, wants the people not to develop the habit of forgetting. For forgetfulness will destroy one's name and fame, even as a constant poverty destroys knowledge. Benignity is a grand virtue, for coined loons are the ornaments of the eyes. Those who devise to cultivate the degrees of civilization which all selves prefer, even after shallowing the position served to them by their friends, such persons will be friendly even with them. Tiruvallur also insists upon developing strength and energy to fulfill one's mission on earth. With an analogy, he elucidates this concept. Even as the flower stretches as per the depth of water, the greatness of human being will be determined by their mental strength. This virtues is followed by unsluggishness. People are expected to give up idleness and be brisk always. Those who throw idleness and do not engage themselves in dignified extension will subject themselves to trouble and reapproaches. Promoting power and untiring activities will culminate in personality development. To encourage people, Tiruvallur brings in divinity. Even if something could not be achieved by divine sources, one can triumph and obtain the reward through constant labor and continued bodily extensions. Even if fate confronts a man with suffering, one should not give up hope. In troubles, too, one should develop steadfastness and try to wipe out troubles. Such people will give sorrow to sorrow itself, who in sorrow do not suffer in sorrows. Such people will give sorrow to sorrow itself, who in sorrow do not suffer in sorrows. Political philosophy of Tiruvallur. Man is a political animal. For peaceful living in a social, good governance is a prerequisite. To protect people from external dangers and internal threats, people need a good state with all equipments. Tiruvallur devotes several decades of verses to highlight the salient feature of political ideologies. The section on wealth commences with the significant feature of royal personality, especially the greatness of a king or ruler. A king has to possess an army, citizens, wealth, minister, friends, and first as a, and a fortress. Such a king will be treated as a lion among kings. This is the grammar of politics. A ruler must promote the quality of manly modesty and should not swear from virtue but refrain from vice. The ruler who spends his time and energy with duty consciousness in protecting his subjects will be adored as the god among men. The other virtues elucidates. for social well-being of people are equally applicable to the king and ministers too. While seeking the guidance of great men, a king must be always in the company of noble men selected by him for the prosperity of his domain. Otherwise, he will perish even though there be no one to defeat or destroy him. A ruler must be vigilant and always be aware of the power of his army, his enemy, etc. Before venturing into any act, there is nothing which may not be accomplished by those who, before be offer they attack an enemy, make themselves acquainted with their own ability and with whatever else is needful to be known, and apply themselves wholly to their goal. Equally is important the intent of knowing the appropriate time. Volluvar explains this virtue with an analogy. A crow will conquer an owl in the daytime. Thus a king has to analyze the suitable time before conquering his enemies. While selecting the ministers, the ruler must be very conscious of their skill and ability. According to Tiruvallur, let a minister be chosen after he has been tried by means of the following four qualities: virtue, attachment towards money, indulgence in sexual pleasure, and fear of losing life. In the chapter on the right, Scepter Tiruvallur gives a vivid picture about the method of ruling the country even as the living being live happily when there is good downpouring. The citizens will live happily when the king rules his domain justly. Again, for a king to punish the criminals with severe punishments is like the pulling up of the weeds in the green field. Similarly, a king is to avoid the quality of the cruel scepter, the country of the king who does not daily examine into the wrongs done and distribute justice will daily fall to run it. Again, when the people shed tears, unable to bear the torture from the cruel king, on that day itself the wealth of the king will vanish. Another important duty of the ruler is to protect his domain from uh, terrorism. If he could not control and contain the onslaught of the terrorists, Tiruvallur wants that peace will be out of focus from his territory. The king should engage detectives to check the activities of the unruly masses and bring forth peace in his country. He is a spy who watches all men, to wit those who are in the king's employment. His relatives and his enemies. In the subsection on Minister of State, Tiruvallur emphatically asserts the office of the Minister of State to assist the smooth administration of the kingdom in association with the king. He is one who is able to comprehend the whole nature of an undertaking, execute it in the best manner possible, and offer assuring advice in time of necessity. A minister has must have the ability to communicate powerfully so that he can win over the confidence in this matter and fellow men. It is impossible for anyone to conquer him by intriguing, who does possess power of oratory and is neither faulty nor timid. Tiruvallur elucidates the purity of action, the power of action, and the method of acting. The ruler is expected to maintain good relationship with the neighboring countries and mutual friendship and territorial integrity are to preserve. For this purpose, the role of the envoy becomes inevitable. Since Tiruvallur has realized this necessity in 10 couplets, he describes the feature of sending emissaries to the neighboring countries for peaceful coexistence. The qualifications of an ambassador are love of fellow men, a fitting worth, and the possession of abilities being acceptable to royalties. A person who does possess the following virtues alone is eligible to be sent on a mission to foreign countries: an embodiment of wisdom, natural temperament for investigation, and excellent learning. The minister is always expected to be in the company of a king and advise him during the time of crisis. An excellent comparison is made by Tiruvallur regarding the relationship between the king and the minister. Ministers who serve under the fickle mind monarch should be neither too far nor too near, like those who burn themselves at the fix. While in the presence of the sovereign, minister should neither whisper to nor smile at others. Another essential requirement of a minister is to know through indication. According to Tiruvallur, the minister who, by looking at the king, understands his mind without being told of it will be a perpetual ornament to the world which is surrounded by never drying ocean. The minister also should have a thorough knowledge about the movements of his subordinates. This kind of understanding will enable him to be cautious about the spies and the internal dangers. For for a to blunder in the presence of those who have acquired the vast store of learning and know the value thereof is like a good man stumbling and falling away from the path of virtue. Also the minister is not expected to exhibit any kind of dread before the council in order to in order to reply fearlessly before a foreign court. Ministers should learn the logical method according to the rules of grammar. In the subdivision of essential of a state, Tiruvallur first defines what is a state. A state is constituted of perfect cultivation, virtuous persons, and merchants with inexhaustible wealth. All there must be good together always. Again, freedom from epidemics, wealth, produce, happiness, and protection to subject are the fine jewels of the jewels for the country. Tiruvallur also portrays the nature of a fort. A fort is that which is an extensive space within but only small places to guarded and such as can destroy the courage of the besieging force. The minister should also know the technique of accumulating wealth. The chief wealth of the king is an well-equipped army which completes its mission in the battlefield without fear of bonds. The kingdom should feel proud about its military spray too. It is more pleasant to hold the dart that has missed an elephant that which has hit a hare in the forest. Tiruvallur brings to light the deep intricacies of masking friendship after uh, proper investigation who have to consider as our friend. He wants people to give up evil friendship which may drive people to unfold sufferings. He also distinguishes between genuine friendship and unreal friendship. In several couplets, he describes various facts about familiarity. Intimate friendship is that which cannot in the least be injured by therefore done injured by things done through the right of long standing intimacy. He also elucidates the significant feature of folly, ignorance, hostility, the might of hatred, knowing the ability of hatredness, enmity within, not offending the great, being led by women, wanton women, not drinking toddy, not indulging in gambling and medicine. In the last chapter, the author suggests various means to avoid disease. The method of treatment, diet is easy. Let the physician acquire first into the nature of the disease, its cause, and its method of cure, and treat a patient faithfully according to the methical rules. In the section on appendix, Tiruvallur discusses about the general issues which are to be realized by the citizens for a comfortable and peaceful living, such as nobility. The highborn will never deviate from these three virtues: good manners, truthfulness, and modesty, honor, greatness, perfectness, courtesy, wealth without benediction, shamefulness, the way of maintain the family, agriculture, poverty, ma- mendicancy, the dread of mendicancy and basenesses. The whole ambit of this work is to make people perfect uh, in their uh, in their endeavor and free from base mentality. His contemporaneously schools the mean-minded fellows. In contrast, the perfect ones he holds, the great people will be stow their arms as soon as they are informed, but the mean like the sugar cane only when they are tortured to death. Let us sum up. Tirukkural reflects the genius of the Tamils in a remarkable way. It is at once ideal and practical, of the earthy as well as highly imaginative, simple as well as subtle, prosaic, matter of fact, earnest, the forthright as well as highly poetic and emotional, as is apparent in the third book, dealing with love. Tiruvallur's moral philosophy is anthropocentric ex- exclusively, since its focus is on life on this earth rather than aspiring for heavenly abode. Tiruvallur is more concerned with the problems of life and ideal solutions for socio-political and moral issues. He was totally opposed to absolutizing and idealizing the problems and making it a other worldly affairs. Keywords: Aram, righteousness; Purul, wealth; Invam, happiness; Vidu, release or liberation. Thank you.